Shalom to all my Israelite brothers and sisters, those that are near, those that are far off. And we still are going to continue because we're not going to get away from this subject. And it's going to always be the chief subject because it's what we have to use as it relates to waking our people up as far as prophecy go, and what we're going to use to reach the lost sheep. But us Israel is going to be the things, that the blessings and the curses that we call to mind, as the scripture tells us to do. When the Bible was speaking to Ezekiel, asking Ezekiel, okay, can these Israelites that have lost their heritage and their identity, can they be reawakened? And so Ezekiel said, only you know, Most High. So the Most High told Ezekiel how it was that Israel was going to be collectively reunited with its heritage. And so he said, prophesy. No, you ain't got to tell them about it ain't going to be the condition that they in, they seeing, that's going to wake them up, because they don't know nothing about sin. They separated from our law, so they don't have no law. So if no law is there, they don't have no comprehension of what transgression or what sin that they're committing that's against me. So tell them about their sin ain't gonna be what's gonna wake them up. You see, judging them by their appearance and how they look, that's not gonna be what wake them up neither. He said the only thing that's gonna wake them up is that you're gonna have to prophesy to the bones. And so for our Israelite brothers and sisters that are awakened to their nationality and who they are, you will still be able to benefit off of these things, because we can still be woke, and then the curses still perpetuate themselves, because we have not moved into a place of reversal of the curses. And it's real simple. What reverses the curses is real simple. So if you go back to the first sin that man committed, which was Adam, the only thing it took for Adam's curse of disobedience to be reversed is for Adam now to walk in obedience. Adam, you curse. Curse is the ground that you live by. Now, from now on, I'm going to tell you, this is going to reverse your curse. By the sweat of your brow, you're going to go out here, you're going to labor, even though the ground going to produce thorns and thistles. Just the very fact that you understand it's producing thorns and thistles, because that's punishment for you. So you go out and work by the sweat of your brow, that's going to reverse your curse. Now, so it's a simple matter to get curses reversed. It's just a kind act. It's just an act of obedience. The same way with Eve, disobedient. I'm going to cause you to have childbirth pain. And your husband, he going to rule over you. That's going to be your punishment for your failure to be obedient. To be cursed, any curse that is on our sisters, only thing it takes is for them to recognize that. And then allow the Most High righteous judgment to have its way, and we just be obedient and subjected to that. That's what reverses the curses. And so it's the same way here, as the scripture, as the prophets prophesied unto us, according to where the curses is concerned. As we move into a place of obedience, that thing is automatically reversed. It's automatically reversed. And so so we have to stay there, because even though we can be woke, there still can be a lot of curses that you don't understand, that we have not moved into a place of obedience from. So we come to this one right here, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. That curse right there is one that's still prevalent upon our people, even on the people that's woke. Now, it may take for the Spirit to bring some light upon that particular passage of scripture, so that you can be able to move it from yesterday into the day to get a full comprehension of it. But that's what we look for. We look and we lean for opportunity for the Spirit to bring its interpretation. You see? Because that right there is going to make us it's going to make us able to turn away, and we're going to get strengthened in another area. So let's look at the scripture. It says, and the Lord going to cause us to serve our enemies in hunger, in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And then he shall put a yoke around our neck until we be destroyed. So, now most of the times when people think about the yoke of iron around our neck until we be destroyed, and we know that it was a yoke around the neck of the slaves as long as they was trying to escape and things of that nature. But once they got moved into a place to where they felt comfortable with their position as slaves, after a couple of generations passed by, to where when the child was born, he was born right into the cotton field, and he grew from there, and he thought that that was just automatic and that was the way that life was. Then they could take the yoke of iron off of his neck, you see? But before, when the ancestors first came into this land, they were continuously trying to find a way to escape. So the slave masters had to put yokes around their yokes of iron. And we're not talking about the yokes of iron that's dealing with, we're not talking about the yokes of iron that's dealing with a shackle. We're talking about the yokes of iron that have the long prongs that come out on it. So that if they try to run, they would get tangled up in the trees or something like that. You know, they might get their neck broke, or they might just get hung up in the trees and couldn't move until they was able to be found. That came as a result of people's resistance, you see? And so when we can still have yokes around our neck.
8,
Goodness.
1, 6, 6, 1.
I'll call back later. So we still can have yokes of iron around our neck. See, the yoke of iron will remain around our neck until we destroyed. And what destroyed means is that once we got to the place to where we thought it was natural, then we was good as destroyed. So our ancestors would no longer be trying to escape. So they could take the yoke of iron off of their neck because they was just going to operate as a slave, you know what I mean? Because that's just where their mentality was. Their mind had to be destroyed. And so a lot of times the brothers and sisters don't feel no type of resistance. And that means that you still have a yoke of iron around your neck. Now let's go to the important part, when the Most High said that we was going to serve our enemies in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. You see, each one of those things, hunger, I'm hungry, my stomach is growling. Thirsty, I'm thirsty, I want something to drink. Nakedness, I'm naked, I'm uncovered, I'm ashamed, I need to be clothed. And want of all things. Each one of those things breeds want, okay? If I'm hungry, I want something to eat. If I'm thirsty, I want something to drink. If I'm naked, I want some clothes to put on. But now I'm going to serve my enemies in want of all things. What things? The things that I see that my enemy have. Like Paul said, that we would be provoked to jealousy. And so when the enemy has plenty of things. So I'm going to give you some examples so you can really understand the fullness of this. I be saying to myself, I cut grass for a living. And most of the people that I deal with are my people of my own kin. My brothers and sisters in the flesh. The Negroes out of my community. Every now and then, I get some Gentile customers. But for the most part, Gentiles fool with Gentiles, you know what I mean? And, you know, they will hire us occasionally to do a job here or there. You know, somebody give a good recommendation. But But for the most part, I serve my people. Now, here's the thing. Our people have truly been provoked to jealousy and don't understand that this part of the curse is still on us. Because we are serving our enemies in want of all things. We go to work every day and we're serving our enemies. As soon as we get our money is gone. It's trash. It's in the wind. Why? Because of what we see our enemies have. You see, we're serving our enemies through employment. But then we are never satisfied because we want whatever it is that they have. And so I'm telling my Negro brothers and sisters, hey man, don't be going out moving in no white folks' neighborhood and all that because you want to have a house that they got, you want to have a car that they got, and you can't even afford to take care of the stuff. So I goes to some of my brothers and sisters' house that's out there, and you know, and look at their yard and look at their white counterparts' yards next door to them, and it's like, man, it just embarrasses me. I'm saying, well, what the hell you move out here for if you wasn't gonna keep the grass cut? If you know you moving to a house that's this big and it got a lawn this big, you need to be invested in a riding lawnmower so that you can be taking care of your property. If you know that you're in a place out here, you move out here with these white folks and you got trees in your yard, you know that these leaves need to be done twice a season. And if you don't have nobody to do these things or employ nobody to do them, or if money is a problem where you can't afford to get them done, then you have no business being there. Why would you move out there in a place where the white folks are and then allow your grass to be 2 feet tall before you get somebody to cut it while everybody else's stuff is nice and neat? You see? Why would you do it? When white folks got their yards nice and neat, and then they have their grandchildren's or their children's jungle gyms and swing sets up there, and everything is real nice, and then ours don't. Ours toys is all over the place. The pool that they was gonna have, it don't never work. It don't never work. It can't never get fixed right because it ain't never really professionally done. We'll get that stuff and then we'll try to do it ourselves. But see, we want to go where they want. See, I will cause you to serve your enemies. That means you have a job and that means that you have money. But you hungry after something that you had no business, and you thirsty after something that somebody else had. And you know what? You serving them in naked and thirst and hunger and in want of all things, and you want what they have, but you can't keep what you have up. Some of the brothers and sisters can afford to, so they hire linemen or they hire lawn services that make sure that if they can't do it, that these things stay done. But the vast majority of our people, you'll move out there in the place to where you're in the suburbs and you got a driveway full of broken bicycles, and you got trash all around your house and everything, while everybody else's house is nice and neat. I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. I done pulled up on some of my people. They got nice, beautiful homes, but their homes ain't being upkept like the white folks' homes. They are struggling to keep their, and I mean, you can't keep the grass cut. If you can't keep something as simple as the grass cut, if you can't incorporate an extra $100, $200 a month to keep your yard maintained and your property maintained, you don't have no business being there. You mean to tell me you can go and pay $800, $900, $1,000 rent, but you can't spend $200 on the upkeep of the property, keeping it looking nice, keeping the bushes trimmed up? That's our people still up under a curse, still being provoked to jealousy and serving their enemies in nakedness, in thirst, and in want of all the things that their enemies have. You see? And they said it's trying to keep up with the Joneses. But trying to keep up with the Joneses is bigger than just being out in the suburbs in a house, because somebody else got the same thing dealing with their car. You know good and well you can barely afford the car. You can barely afford the car. You can barely afford to make the car payment and the insurance. And you can make the car payment and the insurance, and you struggling with gas money or something in the house got to go wrong. See, it's different ways. It's different ways. It's on different levels. It's different ways. It's on different levels. But these things have to be reversed. And the first thing that it takes to start reversing it is to understand that this kingdom is already finished. So it ain't nothing that these Europeans can show you that we supposed to be desiring to have. Because the car got to drive on streets that will never be repaired. And somebody need to start looking. This country is finished. There is no way possible that the infrastructure in this country is going to be fixed. Because every political arena have sought greed, and the Jewish people are controlling them in politics, so they never will get to use the money for what it's supposed to be used for. They will pocket the money, and then that thing, like that bridge, like that maintenance or that new bridge that need to be done, they will do something else and leave it into the hands of the next person. And each time it passes hands, the problem worsens. It worsens. It worsens. It worsens to the point to where somebody get it and it's literally impossible to fix or maintain. Well, this is a condition of the streets, of the bridges, of the waterway system, of the sewage systems, of all of these different infrastructural things in this country. They are finished and they are failing. So it's nothing that you can desire from a Gentile. You see, the Most High need us to reverse these things. So we reverse these things by stop looking at what they have and start looking at what the Most High mean for us to have. So that we can stop serving our enemy in want, in nakedness, and in thirst, and hunger, and want of all things. And we'll stop serving them because we'll serve them, and then when we get our money, we take our money and we move in the direction that the Most High deems for us to move in. You see? So, you know, it's crazy, man. Better to buy a little rinky-dink house in the neighborhood and fix it up. Better to buy a rinky-dink house in the neighborhood for $15,000, $20,000. Paying $250 a month or outright cash, you know what I mean? And then invest the money over the period of years to turn it into what you want it to be. It could be a matchbox and be just as nice as ever. Because blessings that come from the Most High, they make you rich, and then they don't add sorrow to them. You don't have no sorrow when you don't have to worry about how you're going to come up with $700 to $800 to make a house payment. You don't have no sorrow when you ain't got no house payment, on top of that a car payment, on top of that insurance to pay. You see? When you don't have those things, you don't have that kind of sorrow. You have peace. And see, when you have those things, you got to go now and serve your enemy in want of all things. Because in order for you to hang on to these things, you got to go and serve him. As soon as you serve him, whatever it is that you get from serving him, now you got to go and give that right away. And you give that right away and find out that you're still in the hole and everything that you have is in jeopardy. So you don't have no peace. You don't have no joy. It's always going to be looking for something. You're always going to be delaying a calamity that's going to hit you next week. You're always going to be having that pushback by somebody's help, by somebody's assistance, by something of that nature, when all you got to do is just say, you know what, enough of this. Give me this little. Solomon said it was better to have one morsel with quietness and peace than a great feast with chaos. You see, it's better for that. Because the less you have to be distracted by, the easier it is for you to hear the voice of the Spirit. And we have to start hearing the voice of the Spirit. These curses have to be reversed, but they will only be reversed as we seek to be obedient, okay? Because we have a yoke of iron around our neck, because we have been made to feel comfortable with the places that we've been in. We think that we had a job just so that we can buy things that we seen other people have. It's bad enough that we have to serve our enemies, but we shouldn't have to serve our enemies and take what it is that we earn from our service and then be consumed because of things that we see that they have that we want. Don't worry, you might have a swimming pool. You can have a swimming pool. You can have it. Nope. Do you want it? Nope, nope, nope. Hell no. I don't want no swimming pool. I don't need, my kids don't need to be in a swimming pool. They can learn how to swim while they're in school. And if they ever need to swim, they can know how to swim. But nope, I don't need no swimming pool in my backyard. You know why? Because that costs money. It got to be upkept. It got to be maintained. It takes professionals to be able to do it. The water have to be changed. I done worked in the Kansas City, Missouri school district as a maintenance man, as the custodial man. We was responsible for keeping the swimming pool clean. But there were certain things that we couldn't do. We didn't know the pH balance of the water. We didn't know the chlorine level. We didn't know the different chemical mixtures that had to be done. All these things had to be done by professionals. And we look at what it is that we want, that we see other people got, and we don't know what other people going through to maintain it, and then we try to get it, only to find out, hey, I can't maintain this. This is much more expensive than I thought. And when I decide that I can't maintain it, guess what? I'm left with just some trash around my house that is going to cost me money to have torn down and removed, and 9 out of 10 times even so. It's just different things that we got to look at, people. Different things we got to look at, people. Yep, it's different things that we got to look at. So we want to reverse that curse that the Most High gonna cause us. So that means when I go to work and I serve, I'm gonna feel good. I'm gonna feel good because I know when I get my paycheck, I ain't got nobody to pay it to. I can set it right here. I can be a blessing to the Father's people. I can move in whatever direction the Father need me to move in. If I need to go and try to find me how I'm gonna buy me a piece of land, how I'm gonna get me something where I got to flee this city or anything, or need what I got what I need to do it. No, I ain't got to take my paycheck and then 75% of it going to make somebody's rent, to pay rent at somebody's house, just so that I can say I got something and I can look like something in front of my brothers and sisters. I tell you what you look like. To the one whose eyes is wide open, you look like a fool. You look like an idiot. And I'm not calling you a fool, or I'm not calling you an idiot, because we make these decisions without understanding. And then we come to understand a little bit better once we start putting them up against the scripture. So that's what our brothers and sisters need to know. It's plenty of places in the community, right in the neighborhood. There's houses, they look ran down. If you can go in a house and that house got pipes in it that the water can come on, and it got electrical, the electrical ain't damaged, and it got gas pipes and gas lines, I don't care how ran down the house is in good shape. And it can be put back together. Because see, if you ain't got to pay $800 a month and you can get one of them houses for $200 a month, that leave you an extra $600 a month to do whatever you want to do to that house. Now, if you took $500 and put in that house in a year's time, that'd be $6,000 that you have invested into that house for cosmetic work. And it don't take nowhere but from $6,000 to $10,000. You can make any house be what you want it to be. And then the house is yours. Now you don't owe nobody no rent payment. Now all your money is free. You can put your money to the side. You can stock your money up. If your brother or your sister fall on hard time, they need a little help, you're in a position. You ain't got to say, well, I can't do it right now. I have to wait till I get paid. Even though you know that when you get paid, you ain't going to be able to do it because all of your paycheck is going to one place. I can't serve. I can't go and serve the enemies all week and then wait till I get paid so I can go spend $150 on some fake ass hair. I can't do that. You see, why do I want to go spend $50 on some fake hair? Because I'm looking at what my enemies possess that I don't possess, that I don't have no business with, no way. Yet I'm going to do it. And this is a problem because our sisters got a yoke around their neck too. Now, I'm not talking about our sisters. Some of our sisters have disorders because that was part of the curse, that we will have scalp disorders or early alopecia. Some of those things happen, but then again, some of those curses come as a result of our sisters' disobedience that keep putting glue and keep putting weave in their hair, and that stuff is killing their hair and poisoning and killing their hair follicles to make where their hair can't grow. Some of the sisters are bringing a curse upon themselves by serving their enemies in want of what they have. Why would you want to look like them anyway? You see? So, Shalom. See? So the thing is that these curses have to be reversed. Our brothers still having a problem with getting the curses reversed. You understand what I'm saying? So we're serving our enemies in nakedness, in thirst, in want of all things. You understand what I'm saying? We're serving our enemies, you know? You see? Many of our brothers that's riding around on 36-inch wheels and stuff like that, they're not doing it to take care of their family. They'll allow these people to put this crack and put this water and put this heroin and everything in the neighborhood, and they'll allow and they'll take that and they'll serve their enemies. They'll serve their enemies. As soon as they get the money from the dope that's being sold and from the service of their enemies, guess what they do? They'll spend it on everything trying to gain what their enemies. So now you got brothers that want to ride around in what they call that car that got the three fork, the devil's pitchfork right on the front of it. Maseratis. Every time I turn around, I see some dude in the neighborhood riding around in a Maserati. He got the devil's pitchfork right in the front of it. You're serving your enemies in hunger and thirst, in nakedness, in want of all things, because you're totally uncovered. You're uncovered as long as you're outside or out from up under the umbrella of the Most High's will, then you're in nakedness. And you're looking for all these other things. You'll serve your enemies. You'll make all of that money and you'll do all of that damage where your brothers and sisters is concerned. And you'll spend all of that money. And when they finally it's finally time for you to pay the price, you won't even have no money to pay a lawyer with. And then you want somebody to come put money on your books. You'll be surprised how many of these niggas that went to jail, they want somebody to come and put money on their books to visit them. Stay in there. Because can't nobody tell you nothing while you out here. See, you got to turn. You got to reverse these things. By the sweat of your brow, you got to work. While the ground produce thorns and thistles. While you coming up short, not having enough. You got plenty of brothers out here doing everything that they can to make an extra dollars. You know what I'm saying? They rapping, they writing poetry, they doing everything that they can to make an extra dollar so that they can take care of their family. And come up short to the point to where they have to ask and depend on the Most High to help them and assist them. That's being in the Most High's will. That's having things reversed. There are many different levels that this scripture can become true. So we're talking about in our foreparents' days, they served them in hunger and in thirst because they was in the field. They was forbidden. They couldn't just drink when they wanted to, and they were forbidden to eat anything that they had planted or that they had raised. And they was naked because they didn't have no provisions being made for them. They was treated as cattle, and you don't have to put clothes on the cattle, so they feel like they don't have to put clothes on the slave neither. He can just stay out there until he perish. You understand what I'm saying? So they serve in hunger, in nakedness, and in thirst. And while they was doing it, they was wanting at the same time, because hey, I'm a human being. Hey, I need to eat. Hey, I need to drink. Hey, I need some clothes on my back. I'm cold. You know what I'm saying? I need to be covered up. They serve their enemies in hunger and thirst and nakedness and want of all things. They wanted because there were things that they needed. But in our case, we are not in that condition. You see, they put yoke around our ancestors' necks back then because they were not receptive of those conditions. They were not receptive of those conditions. But once we have become receptive of the conditions that this kingdom have laid out, and so we have a spiritual yoke of iron around our neck that's causing us to serve our enemies through our jobs in hungering after the things that they want, when the scripture says, blessed is he who hunger and thirst after my righteousness, they shall be filled. That's what we're supposed to be hungering and thirsting after. So when we start talking about reversing the curses, our hunger and our thirst, instead of us hungering and thirsting after the things that our enemies want, and then we spending what we serving him, we spending what comes from our service on the things that he has that we want. Instead of that, let's just serve him and get what we're going to get from our service, and then let us hunger and thirst after the Most High's righteousness so that he can fill us up with the spirit and the things that he wants us to do. That reverses everything, you see? I wouldn't be out in those suburbs, you know what I'm saying? I don't desire to have no 3-car garage. Ain't no poor man got no business with no 3-car garage. No poor man got no business with that. See, many of us want to exchange your poverty, which is your true riches, for worldly riches, which are not riches at all. And what the Bible calls and says have made us rich, we have allowed this world and the things that we see to make us ashamed of what it is that we have. My riches, my poverty is the greatest thing that the Most High ever done to me, because that is my riches. That's what keeps me connected to him. It's my poverty. It's my being in need. It's my suffering lack that keeps me connected to the Most High. Oh, Most High, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Oh, I'm going to need you to make a way out of no way. Oh, I need a little help over here. I need to see your hand of provision in my life. I need you to show up. You know, I got my family to be, but I don't have it. See, it's my poverty that causes me to be rich, because the Most High hears the cries of his people. And so the Bible confirms that when it said, blessed are the poor. They're blessed in spirit, but theirs is the kingdom. I know thy works, thy tribulation, and thy poverty, but thou art rich. You see, I know who your rich is. You say, you're rich because you're impoverished. You're rich because you have to depend on me. That's why you got scriptures like out of the book of Proverbs that say, he that gives to the poor loans or lends to the Most High. See? Because the Most High gonna take care of his people. And everything that you do for a poor man, it's a loan that you do to the Most High. That when you come to the end of this life, you'll cease from labor, and then you'll go to reward. You see? That's how that is. That's how that goes, you know? So we got to start working on reversing these curses, and we'll reverse these curses as we move into places of obedience. Instead of serving our enemies in hunger and thirst, in nakedness, in want of all the things that they have that this little dim little world can offer, let us reverse that curse by hungering and thirsting after the Most High's righteousness. Yep. And our nakedness will be covered right then, and we will be filled. We won't have nothing else. You see? Apart from the Most High, our desires attached to this world. But when we connect ourselves and start hungering and thirsting after the Most High's righteousness, there's something to take place. It says, delight thyself in the Lord, hunger and thirst after his righteousness, and he shall give unto thee the desires of thy heart. That means that when I start hungering and thirsting after the Most High's righteousness, he takes away the worldly desires that I would have. He takes away the desires that I have to be like the heathens or the Gentiles of this world, and he replaces them with the desires that he has for me. So, hope everybody being blessed. Shalom, saints.